Seriously, if you're dealing with someone who has you questioning your sanity, or whose very existence seems to drain your energy day after day after day. Like, you try to stay professional, you really, really do, by staying calm and remaining silent just to keep the so-called peace, even though you secretly want to punch them in their throat. Am I talking to you? If so, lock in and take notes in the comments, because by the end of this video, you're going to see what's really impacting your ability to experience your desired reality at work and what you can do about it. The other day, I found myself asking a question in the middle of a conversation. I was like, am I missing something here? I kept asking myself, am I missing something here, as I sat in this conversation with someone who I'll call Leah. Leah was sharing with me how she felt drained from dealing with her boss. And I use that word with air quotes because after hearing more about this person, heaven forbid I call them a leader. Anyway, what came out of Leah's mouth said a lot about how easily we hand over power to someone with a title without even realizing it. As I listened to her describe the passive-aggressive behavior, like the way her boss would subtly email ghost her whenever she was in a pouty mood, or like the overly polite comments that were really subtle jabs towards Leah, or the way Leah's ideas were dismissed in meetings but represented minutes later as someone else's, and you know who that someone else was. As I listened to Leah share about this story about her boss, air quotes, remember, Upton Sinclair's quote came to mind. It is difficult to get a person to understand something when their salary depends upon them not understanding it. I'm going to say that again. It's difficult to get a person to understand something when their salary depends upon them not understanding it. Because what Leah shared made me wonder, why was she accepting this behavior that ignored her authority and expertise? I mean, like, her experience with her boss was filled with such tension, causing such a great amount of exhaustion and this slow and steady erosion of peace. It even spilled into her valued relationships with her fellow colleagues, and it was breaking her, bringing her to tears, frustration, like I said, complete exhaustion. And as I listened, like, her story just became one of those deep aches for me. It's like where a work relationship that once felt stable, even safe, now nearly feels unbearable, too much to carry. So as I listened, I did the most important thing. Like I said, I listened. And then I listened some more. I listened to her pauses, to her posture, and the ache beneath her sentences. In addition to that Upton Sinclair quote, that is difficult to get a person to understand something when their salary depends upon them not understanding it, something else came to mind. That story about the dog and the nail. You ever heard of it? Like the one where the dog is lying on this doggone nail, moaning and whimpering, but doesn't freaking move. Like it just stays there, making all kinds of noises, disrupting the peace of the neighborhood. It's that story where one day, one of the neighbors just got tired of it. Went up to the dog's owner and asked, what was the dog's deal? To which the owner replied, oh, he's whimpering because he's laying on a nail. Yeah, he's in pain, but not enough to get up. Yikes. That story always resonates with me because once upon a time, that was me. Sitting on a dang nail because the pain was familiar. Staying in a job too long, staying in a friendship too long, staying in an organization too long. Life is just too precious to waste on a lie that you have to stay somewhere or remain with someone even though you're freaking suffering. Please. Listen, silencing that lie and moving on has been one of my greatest power moves. So as I listened to Leah, it clicked. Leah wasn't just dealing with one boss. She was actually reporting to two. There was the external boss, the one with the title and authority. And then there was the one that she believed that had power over her day. And there was the internal boss, the voice inside her head reinforcing outdated beliefs. Beliefs built on fear, obligation, and the illusion of safety. And here's the truth, folks. Limiting beliefs will keep writing the script of your reality until you take the freaking pen back. And staying somewhere or with someone when time's up, especially if remaining makes you feel bad, that's a limiting belief that's doing you no good, serving you. It's not serving you at all. And fun fact, listen to this. Did you know that the word boss comes from the Dutch B-A-A word boss, meaning master, B-A-A-S? Isn't that telling? Leah's external boss became a mirror for her internal master, that inner voice of limiting beliefs. The boss she allowed to rule through fear instead of intentional power. One boss dictated her workload. The other dictated her worth. Both relationships were strained. Both required courageous conversations, and both demanded boundaries that honored who she really is. But it was through the mirror principle that I realized her external boss, the person, mirrored her internal one. The part of her that accepted being controlled and manipulated was safer than speaking up. A limiting belief. You see, here's what matters. Relationships are mirrors, and like mirrors, they do not smile first. The mirror will never smile at you first. Whatever you want to experience in a relationship, you must embody it first. Because people don't reflect what you say you want. They reflect the energy, mindset, and patterns you walk with. If you want a relationship to mirror trust, safety, and transparency, you have to be the one to model it. Relationships respond to who you are and the mindset you bring, not just what you ask for, or worse, hope for. Oh, and please don't get me started talking about the idea of hope. Oh my God, talk about a limiting belief. But I digress. See, the workplace is just a stage for Leah because the real story was unfolding within. And life places these mirrors in our path not to shame us, but to show us where we've outsourced our power. Because Leah's reality, her grief, was being shaped by the lens interpreting it. The air quote boss, the one she worked with, that wasn't a problem. The lens she was using to understand her situation was the problem. And here's the painful truth. Every time we silence our intuition, our inner knowing to keep the peace, we, in fact, promote the wrong boss. Every time we choose not to advocate for ourselves, we sell ourselves short and give both bosses, the person and the mental, permission to run the show. Listen, giving power to both an external boss and an internal boss of limiting beliefs reinforces fear over freedom and compliance over clarity. And is that what you want? H to the no. And Leah really didn't want that either. So here's where the real shift came in. So, I reminded Leah, as I still remind myself today, and maybe even reminding you, we need to stand in our purpose, detached from the outcome, especially the ones not aligned with our highest good. You can't control the outcome anyway. All you can do is set your intention for how you want to show up, and then, only then, will you be able to influence an outcome. Because you've aligned with your purpose and not fear. I think I need to say that again. When you align with your purpose and not fear, that is in fact when you will influence the outcome in a way that can make you smile. Listen, you cannot build a new reality with an old mindset. You cannot build a new reality on your job with an old mindset. You cannot build a new reality in a relationship that is not serving you well with an old mindset. Folks, people will always be peoply. But here's some good news. Woohoo! Your reality will shift the moment you stop allowing the wrong boss, the person boss, and the one in your head to disrupt your peace. And listen, I need you to know something. The mirror is whispering something else. No boss can ever control you when you take the lead in your own life. Yeah, baby. Yeah, that mirror cusses too. Yeah. So if you're ready to take your power back, I want you to walk through this little method with me. Let's just get honest about this. One, I want you to spot the moment. Think about when you felt powerless in the presence of authority. What story were you telling yourself at that time? Because patterns don't repeat to punish you. They repeat to reveal you. All right. Next thing I want you to do is examine the lens. This is where your clarity will begin to sharpen. Ask yourself, which boss am I actually reporting to? The external one or the inner critic? And how does that inner boss talk to me? Because listen, you can't see beyond a lens you've never taken the time to examine. And then 3, expand with curiosity. This is where curiosity becomes our moneymaker. It stretches our perspective. If my boss is a mirror, what truth is it actually reflecting back to me? And what old contract or belief might be ready to go? What needs to be released? And then the final step, I want you to navigate the next steps after you come to a conclusion, analyzing everything that you've explored thus far. Because now you're ready to move with intention. Asking yourself, where can I reclaim influence today with one small boundary? What's one small boundary that I can put into place? What would leading myself look like in this moment? How do I need to show up from this moment on? Now that I've made a decision to take my power back. Take some time to reflect on these questions and share your insight in the comments below. Your power returns the moment you return to yourself. And these questions serve as a pathway. So if it seems like your workplace or workspace is bringing you grief, the one thing you need to do is what? Look in the mirror and change the limiting belief driving you. Because the main person you always will have to lead is you. You don't need a title. And when you change the lens, you change your life, because nothing really changes until you do.